You're watching News 19 Live at 5 with Heather Armstrong and Chief Meteorologist Dan Breeden. Live at 5 continues right now.
If you grew up in the La Crosse area, you might be immune to the beauty that surrounds you, but still many of us love to hear what someone else's impression is of the bluffs and the river and everything else in between. Tonight we introduce you to a Florida man who decided to mark his retirement with a lengthy bike ride to La Crosse, one that he was able to complete thanks to the kindness of strangers.
If you want to meet someone who will inspire you to believe in yourself, it's Alex Pfluger, a Florida man who jumped on his bike and rode 1,600 miles.
Definitely a firm believer that if you have the desire, intestinal fortitude, and ability, you can do anything you want.
Alex's ride is a celebratory one. After 35 years as an executive with Disney, he decided to bike to visit his son, who just happens to live in La Crosse. The hardest part about the ride, according to this very young 59-year-old, wasn't the physical part.
Life's complicated sometimes, and so you have to improvise. And I really was able to do that on the ride. You plan on being at a certain spot at a certain time, well then you have flat tire, or the wind. Or one day I got caught up in the rain. And so patience is probably not what I'm real good at.
Along the way, Alex encountered towns overrun by drugs, others pleasantly perfect. He saw beautiful sunsets. He sat in bars with people who loved hearing his story.
And so it was kind of neat having those connections.
But by far the most exciting part of his journey, according to Alex, is seeing something that all too many of us might take for granted.
I didn't really realize how close I was, and so I go through a wooded area downhill, and all of a sudden, there it was. That was the mighty Mississippi. I'm finally here.
As if to test Alex's fortitude, but mostly his patience one more time.
Well, here we go.
Alex came to a bump, or shall we say, massive hole in the road.
I stopped for a cup of coffee in DeSoto in a little gas station, and the road was closed. There was a local in there. He said, why don't you throw your bike and your trailer in the back of the truck, and I take you up the hill, and then you can ride down the other side, and then you hook up with... I said, no. That cannot happen. I come this far, I will finish. And next thing you know, they're coming with straps and rigging. I undo the trailer from the bike, and they rig it up. And he said, "Oh, we lifted with the crane and we lifted across." And I think they were as much as excited as I was.
Alex finished his trip on the 1-month anniversary of his retirement. Ironic and symbolic.
A journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. In my case, it was 1,600 miles with one pedal stroke. You take it one day at a time, one step at a time, and don't get ahead of yourself so much. I couldn't have thought of a better start to a new beginning.
Alex planned to visit his son in Portland, but when mapping out the trip, his son called and said, "I'm moving to La Crosse because I've accepted a job at Gunderson Health System." Alex's son James is the director of environmental services there, and Alex kept a digital journal along his ride, and he is considering writing a book about the experience.